these schools that have been targeted for the large part are those communities that everybody said, I didn't think it would happen here.
Many people make threats, and some people pose threats. The people we have to be concerned about are those folks that pose threats.
Part of the bigger issue we have to look at is why are incidents with gun violence increasing?
Really can happen anywhere, but what do I need to do?
Deadly school and workplace violence is something we hear about more than any of us would want. This list of mass killings in the U.S. since 1982 is not exhaustive, but it is eye-opening, showing that these events can take place at any time, in any place, and to anyone. And according to the FBI, in the year 2000, these events become more common. Almost steadily increasing over a 13-year period, with 40% being categorized by the FBI as mass killings. 160 incidents occurred between 2000 and 2013, resulting in 1,043 casualties, killing 486 and wounding 557. As this increase was being seen throughout the U.S., authorities, schools, businesses, and mental health workers scrambled to answer the question why. That question eventually turning to how to stop it.
A lot of these cases can be stopped where we catch the kid when they're in this planning stage before they get to the actual, I'm so miserable and I'm so suicidally depressed that I want to hurt other people.
Dr. Steve Albrecht wrote one of the first books on workplace violence. He says the key to stopping that violence is recognizing its potential to occur, or rather, the people with the potential to carry it out.
My concern is we always seem to recognize a lot of this stuff in the aftermath instead of getting in front of it. They don't suddenly show up and snap. That's a wives' tale. But what they do is they plan and they plot and they work in, to organize themselves into doing something bad, and we rationalize that along the way as well. He's eccentric or he's just spouting off or, that type of stuff where we let these things go.
Vice President of Behavioral Health at Family Guidance Center in St. Joseph, Christina Hannon.
What I've always told people is it's there but for the grace of God go I. And we never know, we all have a breaking point. We never know what that breaking point is until it's there.
Hannon says there are a number of warning signs of a predilection for violence in children, cruelty to animals, bullying or being bullied, or fascination with weapons or violence.
One thing I think parents shy away from approaching this topic is because they don't know how to handle the answer that their child gives them, or they may feel uncomfortable with the answer that their child gives them.
Meaning family members, friends, and co-workers are at the front line of prevention of violent acts. But she says they themselves then have to act on that knowledge, especially if they're given that knowledge firsthand.
The one key that all school shootings, killings have had in common is that the perpetrator has told someone. The key is for that someone to then tell the right person.
Also on the front line of prevention, school staff and resource officers like Mike Harden, who, like Dr. Steve Albrecht says, rationalizing strange behavior or warning signs is essentially doing nothing.
I followed up on things where people have just given me, they've all been incredible, but still we're more than happy to look into it because we can't predict them. We never know what's going to happen.
But when you suspect, you must act, he says. Such was the case in South Pasadena, California in August, when 2 teens were arrested for allegedly plotting a school shooting after police were tipped off by school administrators. Or the January arrest of 17-year-old Brendan Stephen Moore in Topeka for his alleged plot to kill 2 police officers and 2 school staff members, apparently thwarted by a tipster. But that won't always be the case. Bridging the gap between prevention and action, this man.
My name is Mark Warren. I'm Vice President of Strategos International.
Warren is a military and law enforcement veteran who not only studies mass killings, but through his tactical training business, now uses what he's learned to protect others when the unthinkable happens.
They typically have a two-world view, either victims or victimizers, and they've always perceived themselves as the victim. Everyone else is the victimizer. So anyone that's ever given them a bad grade, anyone that's ever cut them from a sporting event, anyone that's ever bullied them in some means or they believe they've been bullied, that person now became the victimizer and they're the victim.
And while he makes a living teaching the teachers, the employees, the unsuspecting to be more aware of what to do if tragedy strikes, like everyone interviewed for this story, he says an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
The entire community really has some involvement.
It could be the bus driver, the crossing guard, the cafeteria lady. It could be teachers. It could be janitors. It could be the folks in the school office. So each of them plays a part in terms of stopping any of these types of actual or plotted attacks by being courageous enough to tell the stakeholders so that they can intervene.
Alex Flippen, Fox 26, KNPN.